This time.
Okay, great.
Welcome to the land. This is a weekly tech show we from the Level 1 Techs forums do, along with a couple others. But I'm Caveman the One, and let's see. Everybody introduce yourself. I'll start with Jajon.
Oh, great. Howdy. Yeah, I'm Jajon. I live in Atlanta. I'm kind of the science guy here because professionally I'm a scientist, geneticist, and a biochemist, and I do research at a medical school here, and work on various things with sickle cell, with immunology, specifically with leukemia, and a project upcoming with CAR T cells. But anyway, that's a whole other basket of things to chat about. But so yeah, when we have science-related issues, I'm usually the guy who talks about that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Nuggetninja?
What?
Nugget, you're up.
Oh, introduce myself?
Yes.
I'm Nugget. I'm not very interesting. I'm in high school and I work as a cashier, so yeah. I'm very sporadic with what I do. A lot of random little shit because I feel like it.
As we can attest.
Yep. Some more useless than others.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the Lessershoe? I said it right this time. Okay, good.
Lessershoe, engineering project manager, also do some moonlight work as a system administration, and general tech enthusiast.
Okay. So the first topic we have here is the AMD AM4 and Ryzen.
Yes, that's my topic, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, it's mainly about the motherboards coming out at CES. If you look at them, there's just a few interesting things that were talked about in, speculation, and they are true, which thank God they are. Like, if you notice, there is no Northbridge anymore. It's on the probably on the CPU now. There's still PGA, which is interesting. There's only one socket now, but 3 chipsets. There's X370, which is the enthusiast grade. It's what's overclocking SLI, etc., etc. Most PCIe lanes. There is B350. That is the more mainstream, little cut down. Then there's A320, which is very, very basic budget. Missing a lot of features type thing. There's only one socket, though. So APUs and the regular Ryzen CPUs will fit in the same socket and will be compatible. So you have all these enthusiast-grade motherboards that have video outs because of this. And they're pretty interesting. DDR4 as we expected. I do notice that there aren't as many PCIe lanes as I hoped to see. I think that has to do partially with the fact that there are now M.2 connections right on the board instead. Yeah, it looks like they might actually be coming out soon. And they all full-featured. Some even have U.2. Just fancy.
I was going to ask about the M.2 slots. How are those? What did you make?
It varies. I'm looking at it right now. Asus has one. It has, I think that's 2 M.2 slots. ASRock has one with 2 M.2 slots on it. BioStar, I think.
They mostly have M.2. There's a couple of the lower end ones that don't.
Yeah. But, they have RGB lighting. They're full featured.
Yes, RGB, everything run faster, too. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, everything's RGB. Actually, no, but a few of them do have LEDs. I think they're RGB. But
the reason I asked about the M.2s is because my thinking, speculation on my part, but I think with people who want to utilize the NVMe-based protocol SSD, M.2 is a more convenient form factor than taking up an entire PCIe slot, in my opinion. I think people are going to be more preferential to go in that direction anyway for development purposes.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, you don't have to take up a PCIe slot.
well, I mean, you got more space, and on top of the fact that you're not just stick it in. That's all you do. It's not that complicated. So,
Yeah, I'm trying to look to see if there's yeah, here we are. So Ryzen, according to PC Per, this is, I don't know if this is completely legit. Ryzen will have 8 or 16 PCIe Gen 3 lanes. If you notice, most of the motherboards, they have 1 by 16, and then they have 1 by 8, and then maybe another by 8. So if you do want to run SLI or Crossfire, you're going to have 2 by 8s, which really shouldn't be that much of an issue. They are dual channel. They have USB 3.1 support. Looks like, yeah, they're just very, very nice, and they have a lot of ones that have already been featured, and the damn chip isn't out, so that's nice.
well, I think of it as that they're finally. I mean, let's be a little frank here. As much as we all have a love for AMD to some degree, more or less that they're kind of catching up with Intel finally to have a lot of these features. So, I mean, it's just really that AMD's finally on in par feature wise, at least with Intel.
Well, actually, something that's interesting is if you look at, there were some 990FX motherboards that have came out decently recently, and they've been pretty comparable to the newest Intel stuff in terms of what features they have. But there's always some compromise, whether it be the amount of PCIe lanes, so you can only run some at a time, and it was always PCIe Gen 2. But now it's all native. So now, they can do what they did with C170, where technically it didn't support USB Type 3, but they threw it on anyways. It goes, why the fuck not? So, yeah, it is playing catch-up. But it's nice that they are caught up.
Yeah. Well, my hope is that that this entire time they've been rolling out Zen, they've also had on the back burner, well, maybe not the back burner, but at least in conjunction with this, whatever version 2.0 of this is going to be, because you can't hesitate on development. You have to constantly keep cranking out new features and upgrading them constantly to stay in the race. Because my impression is that one of the reasons AMD just fell behind is because they kind of just dropped the ball with continuing the development, and so they kind of just fell behind. And they stayed behind for quite a while. They're only just now catching up.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. We need to wait for price tags, or for Caveman
and benchmarks,
or Caveman to just break the NDA.
Yeah,
you assume I know anything, but I actually don't. So
that's what everybody under NDA says.
Exactly. We don't believe you, even for a second.
It's bullshit.
But if you look at the aim4 platform summary, no, look, it's on the picture on one of the slides that they have on the PC Per website. It says the chipset has 8 lanes of Gen 2 PCI Express.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. So
that might be the NVMe lanes.
Yeah, might be running in Gen 2, and then they have Gen 3 for the so I don't know. It's fun. If you look at the it's on bottom, it says click here to read more. They have a bunch of charts, and the USB support's quite nice. I'm on the Enthusiast. It's 2 3.1 Gen 2s, 6 3.1 Gen 1s, and 6 2.0s. So the only thing that isn't a lot of is SATA ports. Only 4.
I mean, do you really need more than that for?
Yeah, you don't, but it just kind of feels like that's the Enthusiast. That should be 8. That's what it feels like.
You do know that literally every motherboard manufacturer is going to put more on there with chips anyway. So.
Oh yeah. It just feels low. It doesn't matter. No one's going to use that because that ASRock would 20 PCI or SATA before nobody uses that. Yeah. I don't know. It just felt low.
So that was that. And then the crazy $900 case is up next.
Oh yeah, speaking of... the clickbait for this one is $900 case because fuck your wallet. It's Fantex. It is actually a very, very nice case. It is, on the other hand, $900. It looks very premium. It has a lot of radiator support. In theory, I think it's made to run 2 systems at a time, because that's what you need in your computer, right? You run 2 computers in your computer. I think you can do a 480 on front, or no, maybe a 520. Has a lot of USB ports on top because it splits amongst the 2 systems. Has a tempered glass side panel with hinges instead of screws, which is fancy. Has
please tell me that it's like the RGB window lighting, like Kyle from Awesome Sauce had that video on. RGB crystal.
There's actually an LCD side panel now, so
because that would be just prophetic.
That'd be perfect. It does have.
Because he was saying in that little mock-up video, he's like, we're going to charge people like $1,000 for this, because Apple can charge $300 for a book. We can sell this for like $1,000.
Yeah, it is RGB, of course, because why not? Actually, it has 4 3.0s, 1 3.1 Type C, 1 HDMI, because then they could put VR already on it, and it will sell how much percent more?
a little
That was
tiny
another
bit.
part of the video. If you make it VR ready, it like sells more,
Yeah, but just put VR on the glass, on the tempered glass. So.
and then it makes it. Yeah, it has 2 headphone ports, 2 microphone ports, powered reset, and yeah, the RGB controller is built on. It has two PWM fan hubs because you need that, don't you?
Of course, it doesn't.
Why wouldn't you? I think is the real question.
I mean,
It has.
if you're putting 2 520mm radiators on there,
I'm making fun of the entire case itself. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
Fantex is normally not the cheapest, but definitely they decided to...
Yeah. They decided, fuck it.
Let's go case labs. Let's just pull a case labs and just go full on ridiculous.
It has dust filters everywhere except for the back 120 fan / 140.
This thing
Which is-
doesn't sell cleaning at this point. At that
Yeah.
dollar value.
For 900, it's like maybe 5.
A Dyson vacuum cleaner, a good one, is no.
You could buy a car for the price of this case.
My first car was cheaper than this case.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so sad but so funny.
I like,
Yeah, I don't
I do like how the case looks, but not for $900.
like. I would. I could see that for 2. Cut down on the features and the size and make it plexiglass instead of tempered glass. I would pay $200 for that.
Tempered glass does not give you a $900 price tag. Let me just put it to you that way.
Well, if you look at it, all the cases nowadays they have 3 things, right?
Yeah.
You have RGB, you have tempered glass, and you have separated PSU chamber. This has all 3, thus they can charge you $900. Most cases only have 2, so they can charge an extra $800.
There's a Fantex Lux case out there that looks pretty similar. That's only about $250. While still pricey, is not that price.
I like the Enthoo Evolve case with a tempered glass. That thing's like $180, and that thing looks, to me, it looks better than this thing.
Yeah, this thing is. I don't know.
Like, and when guys, don't you think this is a little bit ridiculous?
It's like we only charge $600. Pump the brakes a little. Come on.
We'll find
We
some
normally try.
to buy it.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, I'm-
but Nuggetninja, Bastard
What?
is in the chat, and he's like, "Is that a weeb? Ew." Sorry, I just had to point that out.
Okay, thank you. I don't have the stream open. I need more monitors. But thank you for that.
We use.
Now here's the other thing. It only comes with 4 fans. I
For
feel
that,
like
I would expect an entire case full of EK Vardars.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. It's like it should.
Unimpressed here. Unimpressed.
It's
Yeah.
like this should be 300 at most. I would pay 2. Some idiot would pay 5. I'll make a bet this is just going to be one of those cases you see at conventions and stuff where they have like, ooh, really fancy dual 1080 Ti that is totally going to come out because Paul confirmed it. He didn't actually, but he basically did. He said,
This is like what a
he
lot
basically
of
did. It's hilarious.
And before Paul tries to take down this video.
yeah. There's a lot of products that never go to market. They're just like, yeah, they wanted some company to buy their product or to buy their idea or whatever. And the Kickstarter just shuts down right after, like a week later.
Yeah, Paul did a video on like a new gigabyte thing, and he said, "Yeah, it comes with this extra power brick you can slide in for new, more powerful GPUs that may or may not be coming out soon." We know Vega isn't coming out soon, so what's that tell you?
Yeah,
Damn
I'm
it.
thinking Vega's going to be around May or June, something like that. If I'm guessing here.
I don't want another Fury X launch. That was
Yeah, Fury X, like that was the meh for around the world. Really, nobody really gave two shits.
Hey, spend $80 on what you can make a $35 Raspberry Pi already do. But it comes with like a cool little case to put it in.
Oh yeah. All right, now give us some more clickbait.
Oh yeah, more clickbait because I felt clickbaity today. This one is. I read like.
How is
3
this an
points ago.
article?
I don't know. So it's
Clickbait.
it's clickbait.
You can make anything an article so long as it's clickbait.
It's totally clickbait, and that's why I chose it because I like clickbait because it's funny.
Okay, let's just move on to the next one. That's actually
No.
someone interesting.
No, we have to.
It is the first time this has ever happened, which
Okay.
is kind of important.
Caveman. I think you don't understand how YouTube works. So we need to at least talk about this for a good 5 to 10 seconds, so we can include it in the title and get clickbait clicks, and then you get more money.
Sorry, I found a problem. The plane has one engine.
What?
Wait,
What? It's a
Wait,
737. What?
explain that again.
The
Wait.
plane that's pictured has one engine.
Wait,
What?
what?
It has to be an artist's rendition by an artist who's retarded.
No,
Well,
no.
okay, hey, this
It
was
ha-
in
okay.
Mozambique. They may not be able to afford the other engine.
Calm down. It has. Here, watch. It has a second. Okay,
Yeah, it's there. I can see
it's
it.
there. It's just
Oh
really
yeah,
hard
it's
to
just
see.
like that's bizarre.
I was
It
about to
does
say,
one engine at first. Like,
We can name this one engine airplanes.
yeah. Click. See, there we go. We got the clickbait. Oh, we're done. Yeah. Yeah. They hit the entire
Where did this
story. Portugal, I think. The entire story is that a plane was landing. If they heard a bang when they landed, they're pretty sure they hit a drone, and that's the entire thing.
Wow.
I'm wondering about like what their rules are with airspace and like a airport airspace because here in the state, like if you got anything flying up, you got to stay the fuck out of their airspace, or else
Yeah.
you get in trouble in one hell of a hurry. So
If I was to get a drone, I can't fly it very high here, actually, because I'm in a direct flight path of Newark Airport.
I think in a country like Mozambique, they're probably just they're more concerned with eating food there. It's
Yeah, I
in
was gonna say,
southern Central
yeah,
Africa.
can I make it to tomorrow, not starving, kind of thing.
So I don't think their government's that far ahead of figuring out what they're going to do with drone licensing. I think just not having the many problems Mozambique has probably takes more of their time.
Yeah.
Well, according to Ars Technica, hundreds of near misses have been reported in the United States in recent years.
Now, I know companies like the big drone companies, for the most part, they have built into the algorithm that they create geofences around airports of a certain distance far away from them that they can't even get close. If you try to do it, it just stops and just hovers and won't go past a certain point.
Yep.
So
They probably only
like
did
the same thing with the idiots in the green lasers. You tell them, hey, don't shine green lasers at airplanes, and you still have idiots shining green lasers at airplanes.
And yet, we don't have people getting yelled at. Well,
That's something I've always said to a lot of people. It's like, you make as many rules as you want. You are not going to make a process stupid.
Yeah.
We can fix a lot of things, but we can't fix stupid.
Stupid is forever.
Yeah, we can move on from the clickbait now.
no, but the only other thing I have to say about this is people have been flying rockets for decades, and no one cares.
Well over a century at this point, yeah.
Yeah, and no one really cares. And then drones, it's like, what? Why is everyone...
And those, we're not filming on those model helicopters you can get up to ones that are about a fourth scale if you have enough money. Of a real fourth scale of a real helicopter.
Oh, they have those with
Yeah.
the jet aircraft. Those are crazy. They have little airports and stuff like that set up with things like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
And nobody complained. Because you know why?
because they were hardcore nerds who weren't idiots.
And they were hard to fly.
Yep.
So idiots couldn't fly them. with a drone, I've flown one or two quadcopters before, and you can just pick up the controls and go. You don't actually have to know what you're doing. With those RC helicopters, yeah, you do.
Yeah, the nerd barrier that isn't there on consumer drone hardware, it's almost too easy. Now it's letting people who generally wouldn't have remote control aircraft now have remote control aircraft. And speaking of people doing things that they shouldn't be doing,
Well, actually, this is more cool, but...
I'll cover it. I don't mind.
yeah, but
So-
you Nuggetninja, I think, were the
Oh,
ones
this is how you just kind of threw in for anybody who wanted it.
So to no one's surprise, they've already hacked the NES Classic, and you can now upload games via USB cable to it. Because some people have looked under the hood on this. The emulator, basically, Nintendo didn't develop. They grabbed an open source emulator that was out on the internet and chucked it on an ARM SoC. Like I said, it's basically just a slightly nicer Raspberry Pi. And then they added a little GUI to go with it.
Yep.
And people already cracked it. Of course, people already have installed Linux on it. They honestly should have just given this stuff away for free on a website somewhere because, well, pretty much everyone has cracked the bejesus out of this thing.
In all honesty, I saw it coming though, because I saw it and I'm like, oh, people aren't going to just let that be, unless it's some proprietary stuff. People aren't going to let that be. People are going to hack that, and people are going to try to emulate more games on it, and they did. Though I kind of wish I had one now, because then I would do that too, and that'd be cool.
But you know what the important thing now is? The NES Mini Classic can run Battletoads.
That's yep. We can.
So now you can call GameStop again and ask them if they have Battletoads.
Yep. Gotta get those Battletoads.
We have priorities here.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on from all that stuff, I would like to move on to the more sciencey based topics for today. And, what I found really interesting over the week, I was fiddling around looking at some articles, publications really, at work. And right now what they've got is there's some therapeutic uses that they've come up with CRISPR that weren't there before. Basically, with CRISPR, it's easy to alter cells that are in a petri dish, like in vitro. It's really not that tricky because the cells most cells anyway, when they're just put in nutrient media, they kind of go on standby mode. They're alive and they'll keep dividing and what have you, but they don't function the same way they do inside of a body. There's a lot more shit going on. And so they're easier to change. They're also you can get full confluescence with it, hit all the cells and get them all transformed pretty quick. But doing it in vivo gets tricky. And so this lab.
I think we lost you, John.
Well, the NSA found him. Yeah, he's even.
Can anyone else hear John?
No, I can't.
Okay.
I hear his voice. It sounds like the wire is loose because.
Yeah, plug in your wire.
Okay,
And also edit this out if you have Premiere or any sort of editing.
he has Windows Movie Maker. That's all he needs.
Yeah,
That's
no,
all
not
it
for
is.
an hour-long videos. That took
3 years.
It took a 14-core Xeon with hyperthreading and all that.
Yeah, he's all sorts of jacked up. We got it. We do got to cut this. Just put
Yeah.
like a random black screen and then technical difficulties.
Say Tachoni done messed up. That's all you need to say. Well, now he's
Say
doing
something,
it.
John.
Oh god! Hey, look! Someone yelled touchdown.
Sports
You
ball.
change your input device. Change your input.
Oh god!
Sports ball.
Oh no! Talk back into it. We had sound there for a second.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go.
And Skelters is never gonna let us live that down.
No, edit it
Is he
out.
watching?
dude.
Nobody gives a shit what Skelters thinks.
Well,
know.
there's also that. But continue, John, on where you left off.
So, you guys can hear me now, right?
Yes.
All right. All right. I don't know where I got cut off at, but
Mice and CRISPR.
right. But whatever. Anyway, the laboratory that I was looking at with their publication was with CRISPR cells. When you have adult cells, the cells that don't divide don't really spread this change that you're looking for that well. You tend to want to alter an organism when it's like an infant, or even in utero, preferably, because let's say you alter a fetus, right, a neonatal mouse or something like that in the womb. Well, you don't need to add a lot of Cas9 enzyme with your guide RNA into the tissues to really get a large confluence of transformation within that organism. Especially if you're just trying to alter, like, let's say, brain cells, or let's say the lungs, or maybe even certain muscle fibers. You can really affect a large change inside the womb. But for an adult, though, when the cells are no longer dividing like crazy through growth phases, it gets a little trickier. And so this group here has developed a little bit of a method here where they add several compounds, well, 2 to be specific, that help the Cas9 enzyme cause a trigger, not a cascade reaction, I should say, because it does run out of steam. But you alter cells in one certain location, a localized section, right? You inject into the brain, for example. It helps the Cas9 molecules penetrate more cells, and you get a more widespread effect. And what they did with this was they actually injected these into the adult mice who have optical nerve defects. And they were altering a specific gene that they had intentionally bred inside of them to make it so they couldn't really see or shit. They're pretty much blind mice. 3
How
blind
many?
mice.
The 3 of them?
Yeah, 3 blind mice. Yeah. No, more than that, probably. Not very good for results if you only have 3. But anywho, and so they were actually able to restore the adult mouse, their vision to some degree. It wasn't great, but they actually had some effect, because beforehand, even using the CRISPR on an adult mouse, like, you'd have next to no real observable effects, because a lot of these defects that occur, the cells have already been created. They've already grown, they're adult cells, and they're just screwed up. So unless you're going to cause new cells to replace them, you're not going to really have a lot of effects, because there are some things CRISPR just isn't going to fix. But this process helped with stimulating not just the changing of the edits that they needed to make, but a little bit of the change in the morphology of the cell, so that they can actually hit other factors as well and cause the cells to function properly. So it is basically a more widespread editing process to make it so that there would be some effects seen. So they actually managed to do that. And I thought it was cool as hell, because it's like, holy shit, you made mice that couldn't see again without an implant or some big headset on the mouse or some crazy shit like that. So, down the line, maybe for people who have retinal nerve problems in their eyes, we know several in the forums who do have this problem. One day maybe they could have a treatment option for them that wouldn't involve cybernetic implants or like bionic eyes or anything invasive, really. So I thought that was interesting to chat about there.
Gene therapy is always pretty neat.
Yeah, it's just that keep in mind that it's not going to fix everything just because of the simple fact that, like I said, there are some changes that occur once in your life, and they only happen that one time. Like, you only grow a heart once.
Really?
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, man. Like, I thought 5 or something.
The Grinch story. Yeah, Nugget's Jew heart grew 6 sizes larger than normal.
But 6 times 0 is still 0.
I was gonna say, yeah. But anyway, there are some effects that we're gonna have to cause new cell growth to occur and to really have a measurable effect, like in this situation here. But which is even more complicated, significantly more so. But yeah, this is pretty cool to talk about. So, moving on to the next thing I wanted to chat about. This was actually something that I thought was really cool in the physics arena, which was where you had over at another university here with CERN, they had managed to use their anti-proton decelerator basically to bind more antimatter-based hydrogen atoms in a magnetic containment field. And so beforehand, you'd get maybe 1 atom per every trillion collisions that you were causing to occur, which, as you can probably just tell automatically, that's a really shitty yield to get.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, it's like it's not even really worth it other than just, satisfying your curiosity. And the answer is like, well, for anything else, no, not even remotely. But CERN actually on their Athena project and the Alpha A trap big-ass machine they've got over in Switzerland, they actually developed a stack method that this publication doesn't go into a lot of details on how that works. But what I thought was cool is they went from having 1 atom for every trillion collisions to 14 atoms for every several hundred million collisions. So, that's a huge order of magnitude increase in your yield right there, because only a few 100 million collisions, you get 14 atoms now, which I know it's still terrible.
We should back it back up and kind of describe what a anti-hydrogen is, which is an anti-proton with a positron orbiting it, similar to a proton with an electron orbiting a normal hydrogen.
Right, and it describes basically that this is antimatter. And people are more familiar with that if you watch enough Star Trek or whatever, or even Futurama. But the fact that we can observe antimatter back in the late 2000s was a big deal. And on top of that, the reason why this could potentially have an effect in our lives is because when antimatter and regular matter collide and interact with each other, an insane amount of power is released.
It's called an annihilation.
Yeah. And so when that occurs, there have been a few people throughout time, like long before we were even able to observe it back in the 70s, we were saying, dude, that's the way to move between stars right there. If you had that much power shooting out of your engine bell or whatever, you could totally make it to another star system well within a human lifetime, provided you don't hit something like the debris out there at way too high to speed and blow your ship up, but which I think is a really big problem. But the fact is, other organizations were looking at this publication and mentioning it because they were saying, okay, we think that if we can enhance the capture of the anti-protons basically here, we could actually potentially have enough basically fuel to really go a really long distance and really cover some like inside our solar system at least, make some typically long journeys like really quick, much faster than before.
Then that's really exciting about the idea of having the ability to at least be able to produce antimatter to create annihilations with the energy it produces, is if we understand relativity, the more energy you start to produce, it creates a gravity well. It creates you can basically get close to a singularity. And when you start doing that, it causes space-time to do some funny things, such as start to fold in on itself. with the possibility of space folding, which is completely theoretical. It could work. This could be the energy source we need to do something like that, which would mean very, very far travel. Granted, that's many, we won't ever live to see that far off, but that's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, because I was thinking of warp. Basically, what you're describing is a warp drive, which is actually technically the standard model does allow that, which is really interesting. It's like, God damn it!
Or wormholes. Yeah, wormholes are the other possibility with that sort of energy output. Yeah.
I'm thinking, God damn it, Gene Roddenberry, how? How did you know? But anyway, this publication, what their main description was how they were mapping out the 1s and 2s orbitals of the antihydrogen. And for those of you who aren't familiar with 1s and 2s orbitals, think of electrons that orbit an atom, right? They only orbit in certain areas. And the lowest
probability spheres, basically, where they'll be.
Yeah, exactly. And so at the lowest level, which is where you're going to have with hydrogen, it's just a spherical field around the nucleus of the atom. That's an s orbital. Then you get p orbitals, then d, then f, and so on. The more high energy you go, the more exotic the shapes become. But they wanted to basically see, okay, is the 1s and 2s orbitals for an antihydrogen the same? Is there any differences? On paper, there shouldn't be, and they found, yeah, they're the same. That's exactly what we thought they were supposed to be, and now we've observed it. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, a lot of other people were talking about at CERN how they really want to enhance the capture ability because they think the stacking method, which I need to read more about, is going to really, really take off in terms of development, because if they can get that down, that could potentially be something really cool down the line. So yeah.
EM drives.
Speaking of physics.
Oh boy, yeah. There's another thing I wanted to talk about. Something unlike the EM drive, something that's actually real. That actually has a real effect. This was something I thought was really cool for quantum computation processes, because right now we technically have quantum computers. Just the problem is that we can only observe particles in a classical format in one position or the other. So we can't really make use of a qubit as we theoretically know it to be. Because the moment you observe it, you cause it to adopt an up or a down spin, only one of two positions, and you're back to binary. In which case it's like, okay, what the fuck was all this for?
Because as you try to observe one thing, it makes the other. Basically, position versus spin will always throw off one versus the other. Yeah.
God, yeah, fucking Heisenberg and his bullshit. Yep. I'm thinking of what's his name? The transporter guy from Star Trek, O'Brien, the guy. Yeah. He's like, I've adjusted the Heisenberg compensator here. I'm like, God, I need one of those. Why can't we have those?
But they figured out an interesting way around it with entanglement.
Yeah, because that's what this group here did. And this was a very interesting methodology that they use, where they're using photons, which have their own spins at different frequencies too. And they put it on top of through a integrated circuit machine. It's a little kit. It's really not that much bigger than your hand, from what I've seen so far. And basically, they have an interferometer that shoots two photons down, and they become entangled. And from there, there's a laser-based system and a resonator that looks at it through a certain filter, a light comb, where you have various frequencies set up, and you can see the entangled pairs adopting different shapes. And you can have, let's say, two entangled pairs, or you can even have four photon qubits, they call them. And I mean, I admit my comprehension of this publication really wasn't the best, but it's been over a decade since I've had to really read about this kind of stuff.
The neat thing about how entanglement works is when you entangle two particles, because of the nature of point particles, they're both a wave and a particle at the same time.
Yeah.
Once you entangle them, they effectively are the same particle. But because they're effectively the same particle, they have two different spins, which means you can impart data there, especially once you get to the 4, which to me is voodoo how they managed to get 4 entangled like that. But you can now start basically having an idea of what each spin is by, altering because you say it's a filter. It's essentially a light prism because, well, you do a prism and it separates lights into different bands. This is basically a very nice prism. And they're doing it at sub-zero temperatures, along with under super suppression, basically in a very small space where it prevents things like the Heisenberg principle from getting too much into the way. But that's pretty crazy. Actually, because a normal transistor gate is open or shut, this gives us a lot more capabilities and allows to change it beyond a generally binary system to much larger, more complex algebraic notation systems.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot
at the
more
basic
computational.
level.
Yeah, like at the base level for how information is processed, you can perform a lot more with this system here. And what was really trippy about this is that they got this on something that that already works in terms of like being able to transmit data. It's on an integrated circuit. You can plug it in, get it into a computer. It's just that, they probably have to learn how to translate the data into something conventional, I guess, something along those lines. I'm sure there's some type of, how to put it?
Language.
Well, not language, but, yes, but on top of that, some type of adjustment, some converter. That's what I'm thinking of, some kind of converter for traditional tasks. But yeah, it's really interesting how they managed to pull that off. That was clever of them to do that, because you can do this on multiple frequencies at the same time as well. Keep that in mind. So you could potentially have like a whole spectrum of entangled pairs firing at the same time. So, hey.
I thought of a good conspiracy.
You do some crazy, crazy things with encryption with that.
I know. I was just thinking that, actually, yeah.
Quantum encryption is... and the other neat thing that they were saying is because this is all done over laser and is light spectrum, you can transmit traditional data over it with the laser as well, along with you can start manipulating the actual frequency and light entanglement at the same time. So over fiber optic line, you can do both quantum and traditional data communication, which that's
fancy.
Fiber just became more than 100-year infrastructure, in my opinion, if that's true.
Yeah, you definitely got more utility with it than before.
Oh yeah, if it's quantum computing ready, that's a big deal. Which, it's still a bit off, but...
Yeah, but we are a noticeably closer step with this, though. That's my point, is that because for the longest time, I'm just like, I don't really know how this is going to go anywhere with their current understanding of it, but this was a nice little trick to get around it.
Yeah, D-Wave, what they were doing is they were managing to get the occasional qubit here and there and play with it a little bit, which was useful for certain things, but it didn't have full-fledged application. Being able to actually manipulate the spins a little bit more like this could lead to some pretty exciting possibilities.
Oh yeah, but yeah. So that's those are pretty much all the science-based topics that I had looked up for today for us to chat about. So
we have some Linux.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a little open source rundown.
I'll do something else that won't be done for many years.
Yeah, it's looking like Ubuntu phone ain't having a good time. The over-the-air update number 15 has kind of been paused. It still said they're going to be getting security updates. There's no phones on the horizon. It's not looking real good, which is a bummer. I kind of would like to see more than just Apple and Google in the space. And before anyone says Microsoft, they don't count.
No, they really don't. Windows Phone.
They're a non-existent as well. Yeah. So, like, having more than 2 OSs out in the field would be nice. There are custom ROMs. That is a way around getting around the Google-ness of Android, but it's a bummer. Selfish looks like it's floundering as well, so bad news, everyone.
Yeah, CyanogenMod got bought by Microsoft, and now they're no longer doing OS.
Anything.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, it came out of nowhere over the break. I'm just like, what the hell?
But it looks like the devs are going to start another ROM for it's similar to what happened with OwnCloud and NextCloud, where all the devs basically got up out of one office, walked across the street, went into another office, and went, all right, we're a new company. So, Splash Hash, SIP Hash, is going to be getting integrated into the Linux kernel, which has a few security upgrades over MD5 hashes, which could be pretty good. Right now, we're just dealing with MD5 hashes. Moving to a more secure method could prevent tampering with the Linux kernel. There was that famous question to Linus Torvalds. Linus Torvalds, has the NSA ever asked you to compromise the kernel? And he went, no, they never did. So this is probably a good safeguard there. Yeah. The other little quick piece is IRC, which is an IRC client that's been around since 1999. It runs all in terminal. This is about as neckbeard as you can get for a piece of software. It finally hit version 1.0. It's finally stable. 17 years to get a text-based IRC. And I'm just sitting here going, that's cool and all, but I've been using WeChat forever. But there's some people out there, you mentioned WeChat, they'll punch you in the face and go use IRC. And it has basically what they added was TLS, which is the replacement for SSL. It has some TLS integration into it. So for all of you who want to make sure you're secure out on IRC, there you go. And I thought it was weirdly fitting for an XKCD comic that just came out. You know, as time goes on, there's always still that one guy. No, I'm only going to talk to your ass on IRC, no matter what it is. It'll be 100 years from now. The singularity's happened. We're all in a galactic consciousness, and this one asshole still wants to connect to it via IRC. So for him, he's probably pretty happy.
I was about to say, I kind of want to download this now just to see what it's like.
I do
use WeChat, it's better.
I do too.
I don't care if I get cat.
I want to use this piece of software that's older than I am, and just became stable.
Just became stable. It's pretty comical. Yeah. It gave me a good laugh when I saw it.
It's older than I am.
I've used IRC. I use a lot of terminal-based stuff over SSH. It's just kind of funny that I was like, oh, I thought this was 1.0 like 10 years ago, because I never paid attention to the versioning number. It made me laugh when I saw it.
Yeah.
That's about all I got on the FOSS end.
Yeah. That always amuses me when I see that kind of... The Linux development scene always intrigues me to no end.
Like on the Linux kernel, that thing moves at light speed. The amount of Git pulls and requests and submits that happen, nuts. But then there's these certain glacial projects like IRC or Lynx, which is still the longest still in development web browser on the planet. I think that's been around for like 30 years, and like it takes them like a year to release one update that's like JavaScript now works. And you're like, what? But there's still that like one coder out there in C writing this stuff, and it's just always neat to watch that they're complete passion projects, but someone's still loving it.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. So,
well, I think, are we done with topics? Unless Caveman wants to break any NDAs.
Yeah, no.
See, if you notice, this time he didn't deny that there was an NDA. He just said no.
Yeah. We all know, Nugget. We all know.
Speaking of CES, that was terribly ham-fisted. But thinking of NDAs and things that's coming out, and I know we were all hoping for stuff for at CES, the one thing that did make my day was the ASRock carrier board for Kaby Lake. That is the most American thing I have ever seen. It literally looks like a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier as a motherboard. The Taiwanese have out-America'd America. We've lost. Just give up. Go home, guys.
See this.
Taiwanese have beat us.
What's the name of this?
What is it?
It's called the ASRock Super Carrier. I saw that, I watched the video, and I immediately have an irrational desire I must own this motherboard. It triggered all of my patriotism all at once. And I'm also previous Navy, so I was like, I need this. I don't even own the CPU. I probably never will, but I need this motherboard.
I see what you mean.
Okay, literally the advertising video starts off with a picture of an American aircraft carrier.
American flags everywhere, like
And for some reason,
that is the beginning of the video.
For some reason, it has a 27 on it because
We need bald eagles dropping bombs in the background to make this better.
Like literally, the fucking advertising video just starts off with planes flying off of an aircraft.
The 20 actually, no, I don't know which aircraft carrier is the 27. I'd have to look it up, but
That thing looks sick.
apparently that number is whatever the ship name is. We're on like 72 at this, or 73 in the 70s at this point. So it's something I think World War II era, but it's pretty neat.
Might have been one of those we built in the Langy. It's an independent class, light carrier. Yep, 1943. Probably built in around.
That's not a super carrier.
Light carrier.
I know, but they call it the super carrier.
Oh,
It
yeah.
should be a CVN like the Nimitz or Enterprise.
Yeah, it's probably built in under 2 years, knowing the time period, because
Oh, we were burning them out back then.
because America.
We had to kill Japanese, that's why.
Yeah, it's like, guys, they just blew up the fleet. Okay, just make all the. Nobody's allowed to sleep anymore.
the thing I don't understand is why does it have 4 full, like the metal PCI Express slots? And it has 4 of them. It has 16 slots, or like 16. You can't run 4-way SLI or Crossfire. So why does it have all 4?
America.
America.
That's the only reason. America.
Yep. America. Actually, if you look at it, so there's a second aircraft carrier that this could be. It was originally an oiler, and it was built in New Jersey.
Any other thoughts from you guys from CES? That was the only thing that caught my eye besides maybe Tegra cars, which means it'll run fine for the first year, and then eventually we'll start crashing.
Yeah, I was just
once it gets an update. No,
Yeah,
I'm not bitter about the Nexus 7.
No, I'm thinking immediately of just like, how they do phones, the cell phone updates, with OS, and then they just turn to shit, even though the hardware's great it's still perfectly fine. But then you get an OS update and it runs like shit. It's like, you gotta get a new Tegra car.
Yeah.
The only
What
other
they're
thing
gonna do.
thing I did notice is every freaking motherboard had dual Ethernet ports.
Yeah.
All
a
of the
lot
high-end
them
ones.
did.
A couple of the high-end ones actually had remote admin ports on them, which I thought was pretty interesting, IAPMI, which I don't know why I need my workstation to have that, but I now for some reason want it. Like, I could sit on my couch with my laptop and remote admin. SSH is a thing, so I think that port's kind of out of date at this point. I guess the only really useful thing is if you want to remotely get into the BIOS so you can do remote overclocking.
Which is
That's
questionable.
kinda neat,
I need to stop you for a second. The Azeroth, the super carrier has RGB.
Of course it has RGB.
God damn it, Nugget.
It can't be the super carrier without RGB.
Because
How else are the planes going to find it at night when you need to land on it?
They need to know that they're landing into a Laser Floyd concert.
Yeah, right?
The other thing I was seeing was everything's a drone this year. Everything is a drone. And IoT, everything. Even though after everything that's happened this year with IoT, let's make an IoT toothbrush. Let's make an IoT hairbrush. Underwear. Everything is IoT, whether it makes any sense. Yeah, there's IoT underwear to ensure your junk is at optimal health, because that's what we need in our life.
No, I mean, just seeing this shit, it's like all the metadata on like how hot your balls are. I'm just like, what the hell?
You can't even sell that.
you
Like,
can.
there's not even a market to that. Like, Google's gonna
Hey,
they're gonna go to
hey.
Google with this, and they're gonna like, I don't want it.
No, I was just thinking, like, if you've got, some type of infection going on, you get inflamed parts,
They can, they can advertise medicine.
I guess maybe they can gauge your reaction, your your genital flush reaction to advertisements. That's about the only thing that I would see as marketable off it. Maybe you don't want to know that.
This may be the poison that a lot of us have been craving for a while, because let's just say something like that does happen, right? And I hate to cite John Oliver because I think he's full of shit on so many things, but
He's funny.
he is very funny, though. He's very funny. But one thing he was talking with Edward Snowden about, that famous interview he had, was like, okay, can they see my junk? That's what I care about. Can they see my junk? Then everybody gives a shit about the surveillance. And it's like, well, if you knew the Internet of Things had all your data on your balls, how hot they are, how sweaty they are, your vag if you're a chick, or a tranny or whatever, so maybe then.
They still have junk. Doesn't change that fact.
I don't know. But anyway, I don't know. Just anyway, like, just knowing that information is being sold to somebody, it's like, all right, that's too much. That's the mythical, not very logically derived line here that I'm drawing here. Where it's like, no more Internet of Things, or at least secure this shit.
Or maybe Internet. The only, like, I saw like one or two Internet of Things that kind of made some sense. Like IoT coffee makers, I can see, because you wake up and you start your coffee. Or you wipe as you're going to your shower, or you want to lay in bed for a couple extra minutes and you want the coffee ready when you get out.
Yeah.
That makes some sense. Like, there's some stuff you see and you're like, oh, I can see that. But a hairbrush? What in the world does that do for you?
Or a toothbrush or underwear, yeah, that's...
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Along with everything's a drone, and it's like, all these companies are probably going to be bankrupt in a year. You're already competing against Parrot, you're comparing against DJI.
It's market saturation.
Yeah, it's market saturation, you're all going to go bankrupt. Do something different. The only one that I thought was interesting was the underwater drone, and they're, from what I understood, they were going to do a demonstration, and the water tank they were doing their underwater demonstration with it, the tank started leaking all over the place, so they couldn't. So
glorious.
The drone was fine, which is pretty cool.
They even have a smart cup now.
Oh, really? I didn't see that one.
Just look at Internet of Shit in their Twitter feed, and it's amazing.
Yeah. I took a glance over that, and I took a glance at the video of the worst drones of CES, and I was just like, and then everyone, and what I find funny is people are like, oh, look at Honda's new car and all that, and it's like, okay, here's the thing. Honda or any other automotive industry company, they're not going to at all release a main car for CES. That's going to be at Detroit, that's going to be in Tokyo, that's going to be in a Berlin car show. They're literally throwing out the crap that the engineers they're probably firing tomorrow did. They just went and made some random press with it. So don't even get excited over those cars. Those are the leftovers that they don't want to show at the real actual car shows.
Why?
I'm thinking of, what was it? The memory booster. Did you guys see that at all? The memory booster little headband thing?
Oh, yeah. I'm looking through the Internet of Shit. Some of the stuff is just like... freaking IoT mosquito killer. It's like, come on.
The one that got me, that was amazing, but also terrible, because it's like, why? Is the headphones that don't even touch your ears anymore. Like, they don't go on you, they just kind of go on your head.
No, I'm seeing it now, actually, the Internet of Shit. Oh, I like this. The theme of CES this year appears to be, why did I come to CES? I'm starting to feel that way myself in terms of just watching the videos. I'm like, why am I watching this?
I ignore it. A smart rubber ducky. Why?
Bone conduction headphones. What?
Yeah, because everyone wants their head vibrated.
Yeah, that sounds like it would give you a headache.
The one that I did see was the wrist-mounted subwoofer for your phone, and all I went is they totally mismarketed this. Just market it as a sex toy.
They could make... I'm going to do that. I'm going to start Patreon.
Exactly. like you totally missed the mark. That's stupid as a subwoofer, but at least you could probably make money as a sex toy.
You can make a lot of money. There's a big market for that. I'm going to do that. Who has some investment money?
Oh, yeah. That'll get $500,000 on Patreon. You know it will.
Sadly.
It's like those solar freaking roadways and all that other
Solar? No, you said it wrong. Solar freaking roadways.
So there's a robot that pushes buttons, and its name is Microbot Push.
I saw that one. I'm just like, I didn't even want to mention it because of how stupid it is.
Oh my god, this is my favorite one so far. Anyways, finally we can make out through our phones with the /gear Kissinger app, or attach it to your smartphone. It's like this fleshy little circle thing, and you can just kiss it. It's like,
Well, okay, at first you said Kissinger, and I was like, whoa. You get a digital version of Henry Kissinger on my phone? I would probably pay for that.
Henry Kissinger is one fucking son of a bitch.
Have you ever seen the man that the women Kissinger dated? I don't know how he pulled that in.
No, that's the point that Futurama was making. He's like, how does he do it? Like, he must be the best negotiator ever.
He said power is the ultimate aphrodisiac. And I guess on that note, that's probably a decent place
To end the show.
Yeah. We should probably end just because it's getting a bit weird.
Gloriously weird.
And
Yeah.
wonderfully off topic.
We've
Yes.
hit the point of no return, but should we keep going and see what happens anyways?
We have effectively become the lounge.
It
Again.
is the Lounge
Oh,
of
yeah.
Temps News, so that's
You
a
know,
thing.
Yeah.
Let's look at us. We're
We've
literally,
achieved the objective right then and there. So,
Just let it,
Okay.
yeah, it eventually gets off topic.
keep in
like
mind,
that.
this isn't the Lounge presents news. This is the Lounge attempts.
Yeah, we never claim that we're good at it.
So we don't need to succeed, actually. Like, if we just don't show up, that's completely fine, because we're attempting, we're not succeeding.
well, yeah, that's your standard practice there, Nugget.
I don't make my schedule for work, thank you.
Okay,
course.
well, I should probably end it here. So, see everyone who's watching, all 7 of you, later.
What's wrong with you?
Cheers.
Yeah, what's wrong with the people?
And we'll cut the stream now.